Now, conveniently, we have all of these people who are dressed similarly to crooks. We have crooks going up on the roof, seemingly knowing exactly where to go so that the view would be obstructed by a tree, but he'd get a clear shot off. And all of these parts are moving together. And it's like, to Steve's point, that's what I've said that this whole time is like, it just becomes statistically impossible for all of these things to be a coincidence. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Monday. I'll let you decide if it's really happy or not. You know what? I'm going to welcome you guys. I'm going to thank our sponsor, and then I want to get into it. So, Matthew Marsden, Blaze TV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, along with our very own Steve Baker, our Blaze Media investigative journalist, with some very investigative journalisty things coming up on the show later. You're not going to want to miss that. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Cardio Miracle, which I am actually drinking right now, and I don't want to tip it too much, and then I'm going to tip it out. Can you see it yet?
I want some.
You see it yet? Can you see it yet? Can you see? See? It's not water.
Want some?
And it's also not tequila. I need to get you some. I'm going to get you some. I drink it every day before the show, or at least I try to. When I don't, I just feel sluggish and I have low energy. And as you can see right now, I'm bouncing off the walls. So they're sourced with 55 of the finest food, plant, and herbal ingredients, best natural flavors in the world. It tastes delicious. Go try it. They've got a 60-day money-back guarantee. You can go to cardiomiracle.com/Sara. Use code Sara. That's SARA. The H is an unnecessary letter. No one says Sara. cardiomiracle.com/Sara, promo code Sara. So, Steve.
Oh, me.
Steve.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm all yours.
All right. So, let's talk. Obviously, you too. But
oh, no.
Steve here has some very Steve Baker material. So let's talk about it. The cell phone video taken from behind Donald Trump at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally, where, of course, that was where the assassination attempt happened, has stirred up more inside job rhetoric on Twitter, the platform formerly known as Twitter. You guys can see. This video was taken at 6:08 p.m. Those of you who are listening on audio podcasts, it shows Thomas Crooks on the roof walking to, I guess, his location. So overwhelming criticism from Twitter has been that Secret Service failed to spot him. I mean, you can see him right there from the crowd. So why would Secret Service fail to spot him running, especially from higher ground? But our very own Steve Baker has been sitting with video and images from that day released via FOIA requests, and I would say has a little bit more insight. So I want to show an overhead view of the building that Thomas Crooks was on. There it is, and the rally grounds. So why, Steve, can you show us why Secret Service might have missed Thomas Crooks?
The only reason that they might have missed him, and when we say Secret Service snipers, by the way, that's the two Secret Service teams, sniper teams that were on the two barns behind the stage, is there was a very large tree that was obstructing their view. Now, we've always believed, at least I always believed until this weekend, when I spent the last 72-ish hours with very little sleep going through frame by frame by frame this FOIA dump of body cams, police body cams that were secured by Judicial Watch. And look, there's no other way to say it except this was my process. The first time, I just watched them all straight through. The second time, I started logging down audio comments. I was working on audio, trying to find the best, the most select, most instructive, and revealing comments coming over the radios that were squawking directly from the police live, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Third time through is now I'm going for images. I'm looking for the things that are in the background that are deeply, imposed or way off, and then zooming in, that sort of thing. And while I'm doing this, I'm with my partner, Joe Hanneman, we're back and forth. So we're on, we're messaging as he's going through his process, whatever it is, and my process, and we're finding things and we're sharing these things back and forth. And Sarah, you know how I always like to talk you off the ledge.
Yeah. Yeah. I do.
You just pull me on over now, okay? Because yes. I am so fed up with giving the excuse of incompetency after incompetency after incompetency. We've seen it so much. We started with the incompetencies of January 6th. We're starting with the incompetencies of J13 now. And the layers are just too deep. And then we start seeing too many coincidences. And I believed from the beginning, and I believe we're still accurate about this, is that there was a deconfliction problem between the sniper teams and what they were seeing on the, to the extent that they were seeing something on the roof, and to the extent that these were being called in by local cops because they're seeing it. The Secret Service didn't know what to do. First of all, their radios are siloed, if you know what that means. They are on their standalone encrypted channel, and they're hearing nothing. We have evidence now that 7.5 to 8 minutes later, the Secret Service guys, I'm not kidding, I've got the photographic evidence. Secret Service guys are still hiding behind trucks and afraid. And they've got their weapons drawn. They don't know. And while all the other local cops are running around, going up on top of the building, Secret Service guys are still hiding because they don't know that Crooks is been, exploded already. They have no idea. It's insane. But the snipers on top of that probably were obstructed by that big tree in their line of fire. But see, Crooks must have known that.
How could he not?
He was on that building for somewhere between 3 minutes and 15 seconds to 3.5 minutes that he was up the top. He was standing erect. I have the photographs of the screenshots from the videos of him standing and moving erect across the top of that building. People on the ground, cops on the ground, they're pointing at him.
Right.
But he looks like other cops on the ground who were wearing the same whitish khaki cargo pants and dark rock and roll-y looking t-shirts.
Which is
he's wearing the same thing.
Right. So, okay, so let's get into that. So let's show the skinny, there he is, the skinny bearded guy. Who is that?
Okay, I don't know. And we've tried to find out. As soon as I saw him, this was my screenshot from one of the videos. And if you'll look at it, it's probably 15 or so minutes after the shooting. He's holding a firearm in his right hand. He's got a badge hanging that's hooked over his T-shirt there. So I zoomed into the badge, and then I zoomed in some more, and it's been scraped.
That's blurred.
It's been blurred. The badge has been blurred out, but worse than that, I don't know that your viewers can see this right now, but they've actually changed. Whoever did the photoshopping, whatever software they use in video, they actually didn't use the same color black, so to reshape the badge, because they completely reshaped the badge, because otherwise we would be able to identify what the badge was just by its shape.
Just by the badge.
And all badges, all law enforcement badges, 100% of them, and the hundreds that I've looked at this weekend are all symmetrical, and this badge is no longer symmetrical. It's got jaggedy edges on it, and you can see that what they use to blur it out, the black is not the same black as the background.
So that's like a black square. Am I seeing that?
Yes.
Throw that back up there.
Yes, it's a black square, but that's what the badge is hanging on. But they didn't match the color that they reshaped the badge with to the color of whatever the badge is attached to.
Yeah, you can see it now when you're pointing it out.
So I took it to our guys here who do this. This is what they do for a living. They do Photoshop, they do video editing, all that kind of, and they looked at it and go, oh yeah, even the pixelation has changed on it. They said, oh yeah, that's a total blur job.
So who are the, I guess, who would be the suspects of, like, who would be the one that would blur that? Because this would go through how many different departments before it gets released to the public?
And that was one of my first questions as Joe and I are sharing these images and these ideas back and forth over the weekend, was what's the provenance on this from the time that the Butler county or the Butler Township police, whoever body cams these were, what's the provenance between them and then when the release is given to Judicial Watch, who identified that they needed to obscure at least the agency or the department that this particular guy worked for. They didn't blur his face.
Right.
They blurred the agency that he worked for. And then there were other guys dressed just like him. And so I put an X post out just because, look, when I put these things out, it's not because I'm trying to go, I believe that this was a conspiracy and that the government set up. I'm asking questions because this draws people out, and sometimes they draw them out. We draw them out and they talk. And the bottom line is that for some reason, crooks showed up dressed like undercover cops. Okay. All right. But it's hot. It's summer. Khaki shorts, rock and roll T-shirt. All right. Okay. I get it. I get it.
Summer. Okay.
I get it. But how did he then get all the way? Because he moved across all of those buildings.
Right.
It wasn't just, he didn't just get up on building 6. He moved across all of those buildings erect. Did he know that he was covered by what he was wearing? I have to ask those questions, right? If I don't ask those questions, I'm not being honest even with myself. At the same time, when I see these things, Sarah, I go straight to, I know who all the conspiracy guys actually are. So I go see what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And usually it's like, oh, okay, now I know I don't hang out.
Yeah.
I know I don't hang out with those guys. But I have to go see what they're saying about this, dismantle that, bring myself back to off the ledge, and then, okay, but I can't answer this question. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that, and we've talked about some of our sourcing before, is that we have sources that train Secret Service snipers. They train Secret Service counter-assault teams. This is what they do for a living. And they're telling me that the impossibility of him not being groomed exists, but that it is highly improbable to the nth degree. Mm-hmm. Everything that they see in him indicates and shows signs of the type of grooming, and I quote, "I recognize my own handiwork."
Wow.
I just told you about somebody that's what they do overseas in dangerous hotspots around the world when they groom disaffected young men should an opportunity present itself when they need to activate them. And this particular rally was only announced a couple of weeks, maybe as much as a month pre-planning before it was began to be publicized. But he was training at the rifle range for 10 and a half months.
Right. Huh. And remember, he did have a Discord account, but we've been reliably informed that it was, he didn't use it very often. And it's okay because they wiped it so that you can actually go and check for yourself on that. So originally I don't know if we were specifically told or if everyone just kind of assumed and they went with the assumption, but we were kind of led to believe that the Secret Service snipers were the ones who took out Thomas Crooks. Is that true?
We don't believe so. In fact, we've known since the first 12, 16 hours after the event itself, that it was very likely that the first shot that hit him was from the ground, from a local SWAT team from the ground, not a sniper. The final shot now, President Trump said it was Secret Service. We've heard from other officials that it was a Secret Service shot, but that 448-yard shot came from a Washington County sniper team. And that was the last one. But we believe that he may or may not have already been dead when the first shot hit him from the ground, but we think we've identified who he is. And Joe actually, just before I came on the show with you today, he sent me a note and said, I think we have a guy that's going to verify the actual SWAT team member that took him out. So I'm hoping that we'll have that here maybe by the end of the day.
Wow. Look, I mean, Steve, you point out I'm the one who is like, come with me, join me, come over here in conspiracy land. And I'm just saying, I'm proud to have you on my side. Matt, your thoughts?
I mean, look, I think whenever you hear something, if I didn't know you, right, when you first hear something like this, you're like,
yeah, right.
Come on.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's the default setting, right? Like, yeah whatever.
That's his default setting.
That. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why, I mean, I know Steve, so obviously, right. I know that he's a legitimate human being. So the thing that kind of is so peculiar, right? So put the suspension of disbelief to one side for a minute. I mean, look, we joke about the feds, right? Like with the Patriot Front and everything, they're all wearing the same clothes. So you look at that and you're like, you're all wearing the same clothes. I laugh when I see like air marshals get on the plane. Because if you know those guys, you know exactly what the way they dress. Yeah. It's like, come on. But let's just say they are wearing like a kind of unofficial uniform, which is your khaki pants and your top, which if you spread it around amongst a bunch of people, okay, I get it. Look at that. Like, that's okay. I get it. And look, the caps, the shirts, they're in good shape, right? You can tell. So if you're a sniper and you know that your guys are out there dressed like that,
right?
You're not going to take a shot at a guy running across a room.
No. Almost like that was the intent.
So it allows him to get into a position,
right,
to take the shot, which is because
which again, hold on, which again, as Steve said, had to be exactly the right position behind the tree, so the view would be obstructed from the Secret Service snipers.
But he would still have
the cover of being dressed like on the ground,
right?
Yeah,
counter surveillance.
So that's like double cover,
guys. Like double cover.
So what is the probability of that?
The probability gets very low,
right?
Lower and lower and lower as you start adding these incompetencies together.
Exactly.
And that's what frustrates me, is that I eventually reach a point where I can't justify them.
Yeah.
And I try to justify it.
Do you know what else? There was something else that happened on the day, and I remember seeing it, was... If you remember the one shot was from the side, right, where you saw the Secret Service snipers, and you heard a bang, and then he lifted his weapon up like this and reset it, and everyone's like, "There's the second shot where he took it." I'm like, "No, it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't." I remember putting it online. It was on X. I was like, "He did not take the shot. That was not him taking the second shot. He's just getting eyes on again. He's trying to get a better angle to see what's going on, and he's also got another guy there that should have been dialed in." So, let's just say, even if you hear a shot from over there, as a sniper, are you going to take that shot? Because you don't know. Because from what I heard, there was meant to be somebody up there, or it might have been someone going into a separate situation where they say, okay, well, I'm going to have eyes on. It's entirely likely that the Secret Service sniper would have thought, yes, of course, someone's moving into that situation. I mean, I've worked with a lot of guys, special operations guys, and when they're in that environment, they know where their guys are meant to be and meant to be moving, even when comms go down. You'd ideally like to always have comms, but they know that they drop all the time. So what do they look for? They look for certain way they're dressed. Are they wearing the certain kind of camo? Are they moving a certain way? I mean, like I'm talking about when they're overseas, especially. Right. This is really, really weird. Well, it's just got more weird.
Yeah. Let me add one more piece to that as well, which is that we heard from the body cam footage that the local law enforcement you heard the guy, he's like, I effing told Secret Service to have someone up there. I told them, we talked about this on Tuesday. And so he was very mad because he was like, I told them to have someone up here. So it's like, okay, they got the message. And now conveniently, we have all of these people who are dressed similarly to crooks. We have crooks going up on the roof, seemingly knowing exactly where to go so that the view would be obstructed by a tree, but he'd get a clear shot off. And all of these parts are moving together. And it's like, to Steve's point, that's what I've said this whole time, is like, it just becomes statistically impossible for all of these things to be a coincidence.
And that's where I'm dangerously getting close. Is to that right there. And especially when you have professionals, that this is what they did for a living for 30 years, training, grooming, 8 to 12 young men at a time in Central America.
That's insane.
Middle East, Africa, to do this very thing if needed, if there was an event or an opportunity, and this is what this looks and feels like to them.
The other thing is, Sarah, why is it that you've got a local cop, however, if they're part of the SWAT team or whatever, telling the Secret Service that they need to have someone there?
Right. Yes.
Right.
I'm just an actor that's played a soldier. I can tell you, you want to get cover on the rooftops, right? Like, I mean, it's not rocket science. So why did he have to, like, just that I told them, why did you have to tell them? Yeah. Why weren't they already saying, no, boom, 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 boom. That's where you put them. Oh, Tim Clemente, who was on the hostage rescue team for the FBI, they're all trained very similarly. So they know the points, the choke points where they need to be, the positions that they're meant to be in to have arcs of fire. They all know this. It's pretty standard. Yeah. So that to me, again, is another concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Steve, can you stay with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, hang out with us. All right, because I want to talk more about the Secret Service, but in a totally different capacity when we come back. So you just heard what you heard about the Secret Service, and I would hope at this point you're with me on like, God, come on, there's no way that there is that level of incompetence. It had to have been an inside job. But then you look at stuff like this regarding the Secret Service and you're like, okay, actually they're just really dumb and really, consider themselves to be above all of us. So at a Kamala campaign event in Massachusetts, Secret Service actually broke into someone's salon. And I want to show you their... I guess the way that they thought that they would try to cover their tracks here. Watch. So this is the front porch of the salon. And here she comes back.
It's a woman.
It is a woman. It is a woman. I don't know. Why are we blurring her face? I want to show her face to the world. And here she goes. You may have heard you hear the ripping. Okay. And we're just going to go ahead and duct tape the camera. We're just going to duct tape the camera. That'll do it. That'll do the trick.
Fired. Immediately.
Okay. No, it gets so much worse. No, hold on. All right. They broke into the salon to use the bathroom. They let rally attendees use the bathroom. They stole candy off of the desks. And then when they were done ransacking this poor woman's salon and like using it to take a dump, they just left it unlocked for the rest of the day and never took the tape off of the security camera.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, apparently we do have a... So, and then Secret Service, of course, said that they were like, what are you talking about? We would never enter or instruct our personnel to enter a business without the owner's position. Listen, I don't know any more example of feeling like you're above the law than the Biden-Harris administration's Secret Service breaking into someone's property so that they can use the crapper. Like, I really don't. I feel like there's a certain, I don't know, like an amendment, like maybe the third. You could maybe argue the fourth, but, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered by in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in any time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Like, I feel like our founding fathers were very blatant about government or government agencies not being able to just like break into people's properties and just do whatever the hell they want. But hey, we're living in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's America, so anything goes, I guess.
If you're a DEI hire and you've been trained in that and you're a recent graduate of college and you've gone through that type of programming of cultural Marxism, then you can just effectively be a squatter anywhere you want.
That's a great point.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They're demonstrating for us who and what they've been trained to be and the way they think about the rest of us. What's yours is mine.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
If you're not there. You didn't build it, did you?
No.
I mean, we know that because they told us that
you didn't build that.
Yeah, you didn't build that. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're in a bad state. I mean, this is really, really bad. And I think that the only reason, it's kind of amazing Right. I mean, what I love the fact is she walks up, gets right into the camera with her face like right there, and then covers it.
And covers.
Oh!
How dumb.
So now let's look at, are they competent enough to stop the president from getting assassinated?
Yeah, these are...
No!
Right.
I mean, this is a disaster. This is DEI. This is what you get when you don't hire on merit. You don't train on merit. And it's funny because I was looking, I was like, because I didn't know it was a woman.
You could tell.
And then when she walked back, I'm like, oh, it's a woman.
Yeah, it was a woman.
It was a woman. And you're like, I mean, because a dude wouldn't break into a salon anyway.
Right, yeah.
She's like, do you know what? I never know. I might want to get my nails done while I'm in there.
So, you look at the Secret Service and just how terrible they seem to be at all sorts of levels, whether or not the assassination attempt was an inside job. But the Secret Service really does seem to be in the bag for Kamala. And I'm open to other interpretations, but they do seem to have picked a side because, we talked about this last week, I believe. There was a Twitch streamer, Kai Cenat, who alleged that the Secret Service made numerous calls to him to campaign for Kamala. Like, why is the Secret Service the one who's reaching out to you? So here's a little bit of a flashback of that.
I got the Secret Service calling me 5 times. I don't know damn shit about politics. I don't know nothing. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't give a okay? Listen, I had a bad bitch that I've been trying to get on for like the last 3 years, the last 2 years that I haven't spoke to in like
So he's saying
a year.
A girl that he wanted to get with.
I haven't spoke to this girl in so long.
Reached out to him.
Had the audacity to text me. We need you a part of the campaign.
So that's enough. So now Kamala's campaign, they were like, no, Secret Service didn't reach out to this influencer. But it's really strange to me, guys, because there are other influencers who are saying literally the same thing about the Secret Service reaching out to them. Here's another Twitch streamer, Stable Ronaldo. Watch.
Kamala Harris, stop hitting my team, you and the Secret Service, to do a stream. I am not doing a stream with any politicians, bro. Yo, Secret Service, stop hitting my team.
Look for the sub.
I'm not doing any stream, bro. I do not want to do anything to do with politics. I don't want
Trump
anything.
Or Kamala.
I don't even know who the Kamala is, bro. I just found out about her because of Megyn the Stallion. And Megyn the Stallion.
I'm just saying, why is the Secret Service reaching out to all of these influencers to do, because, I mean, you might be able to say, well, the Secret Service would have to do a sweep. No, this is like reaching out to say, hey, will you campaign for this person? Hey, will you do a stream with this person, what did he call her, Camilla? With Kamala Harris. Like, hey, that should not have reached Secret Service level, and yet somehow these influencers all have the same story, which is the Secret Service reached out to them. Seems odd to me. Am I alone?
She's been a protectee long enough now by the Secret Service, going back to when she became the vice presidential nominee in 2020, that she's probably developed relationships and she has encircled herself. Because remember, she's not easy to work for. She is someone who is very, very renowned for people wanting to leave her employment.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so she has obviously built her circle, even with government employees that have to protect her, of saying, no, I want that one, and that one, for some reason, can put up with me. So he or she gets to be in my circle. And it would not surprise me in the least that she assigns them the job of, would you call so-and-so for me and see if they'll let me on their podcast?
Right. Yeah. So Secret Service, totally incompetent, seemingly, when it comes to the Donald Trump assassination attempt. But they are on it, trying to get these influencers to interview Kamala.
Who knew that they were now the influencers in chief? I mean, it's crazy to think that the people who are meant to be protecting people are actually reaching out to see if they'll do press hits for them and talk about it. But here's another thing about that. We keep telling conservatives to understand the culture, like how important culture is. these are influencers, right, that don't know who she is, right? So number one, she's obviously a crap vice president. Well, we don't even have to sell it. They didn't even know who she was.
Right.
Right. So that's concerning. But number two, did you see what he said? I only knew her through Megyn the Stallion. You guys wake up and however ridiculous it might be that you've got this despicable woman, like whatever she's doing on stage, that's how they knew about her.
That's true.
Do you understand? That's how they knew about her. So you guys can poo-hoo the culture and talk about how it doesn't matter and put your millions of dollars into Senate campaigns when we're over here and we're saying we need to include the arts, we need to raise people up. And they're like, no, it doesn't matter. Really? That guy just said he knows about the vice president of the United States through a rapper.
Yeah. Which says all sorts of things about our society, by the way. None of them good, but unfortunately it's where we're at. So you're gonna need to just follow their lead, okay? Like take back control. To Matt's point, like you're gonna have to dumb yourself down, I guess. Okay, all right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Jace Medical. So Jace Medical is there for those of you who you understand the importance and the necessity of emergency planning. Maybe you have a bunch of emergency food, big containers. I know I do. But what I also have that a lot of people don't think about is emergency medicine. If COVID taught you anything, it should be that our drugs are a lot of them anyway are made in China. Matt.
China.
Thank you.
China.
They're made in China. They're made in China, and it's not good. And so when China
Not
shuts,
good. Not good. Chinese drugs. Don't like Chinese drugs. They like me. I don't like them.
so whenever there's a shortage, you might not get your medication, and oftentimes they can be like life-saving medications. So here's what you need to do. Go to Jace Medical. You can get the Jace case. It's a personalized emergency kit that contains essential antibiotics and medications that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. So you will know if you are in a pinch, if you are in an emergency. You don't need to wait for the pharmacy to fill your order. You don't need to make sure that it's in stock wherever you go. You will have it when you need it. It's very, very easy. Fill out a form online and they will mail it to you. So you can go to jace.com/Sarah. And when you buy, enter code Sarah at checkout for a discount on your order. That is jace.com/Sarah. All right. So the Harris Walls campaign just released this campaign ad that I don't know. I want you guys to watch it. And then the messaging sounds really similar to, I don't know, maybe a different candidate. Watch.
On the border, the choice is simple. Kamala Harris supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Donald
what?
Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents. Kamala Harris supports investing in new technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Donald Trump blocked funding for technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Kamala Harris supports spending more money to stop human traffickers.
Really?
Donald Trump blocked money to stop human traffickers. Kamala Harris prosecuted transnational gang members and got them sentenced to prison. Trump is trying to avoid being sentenced to prison. There's two choices in this election. The one who will fix our broken immigration system.
Yeah.
And the one who's trying to stop her.
So see, it's the vice president now. It's the current vice president who is literally in the administration, who apparently can't do anything as borders are to fix the border. But don't worry, just elect her and then she will fix the border issues, which now apparently we have because they didn't want to admit that there were any. Now apparently we can all admit that there are border issues that, of course, Donald Trump would be the one to fix. Now, she's trying her hardest not to do interviews on the campaign trail, obviously. Listen, if I were as dumb as she was, I also would try not to do interviews. But when she does, it's interesting because she tries to blame Donald Trump for lack of border security as well. Here's what she said on CNN.
This is about the Western Hemisphere. We are a neighbor in the Western Hemisphere, and it is also about understanding that we have the capacity to actually get in there if we are consistent. Part of the problem is that under the previous administration, they pulled out essentially, a lot of what had been the continuum of work. And it essentially came to a standstill.
You're rebuilding it.
We have to rebuild it. And I've made it very clear to our team that this has to be a function of a priority that is an American priority, and not just a function of whoever happens to be sitting in this chair.
Yeah, that actually was an older clip. But, I mean, the audacity of this woman to blame lack of border security and what has happened at the border on Donald Trump is insane. Like, we go over it on the show all the time, right? The statistics proving border crossings were significantly higher under Joe Biden. You've seen the videos of it. We had several months where, like, literally every single month they set a new record for more crossings and more gotaways than the month before, which was already a record. And it's just so funny because this is all like the Democrats are realizing, oh, crap, maybe we should pretend to be America first on our policy in order to get elected, in order to stand a chance against Donald Trump. Let me give you one more. Donald Trump has been campaigning on eliminating taxes on tips since like the beginning of June, early June. Okay. And now all of a sudden, cackling Kamala had something to say. Hold on. I gotta get my accent on like Kamala. She has something to say about taxes on tips just this weekend. Watch.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Well, of course, we can't forget the Freudian slip that Representative Joyce Beatty had a few weeks ago at the Biden-Harris campaign event. Watch.
So yes, this November, we're going to make America great again.
Great! Sounds great.
Yes!
It's almost like they realize they're destroying the country and they have to pretend to be America first in order to even get elected. But will it work?
You know, Matt, admittedly, I struggle with Queen's English. Mm-hmm. But do you understand anything that comes out of that woman's mouth?
Oh no. I mean she's just like the worst word salad. I was sitting there waiting for it to go, we're in the Western Hemisphere, which is not the Eastern Hemisphere. It's the Western Hemisphere. I mean, she's so stupid. But two things. Firstly, why didn't that CNN reporter say, well, why haven't you done it now?
Right.
It's not complicated. That's the answer. Joe Biden, I mean, he spent 50,000 years as a senator, and he was the smartest guy. He was magna cum laude. He had 10 degrees. He was the top of his class. Right. Of course, we know all of those were lies that he said, but nevertheless, he is always want to list his accomplishments, but he can't and could not have done any of those things during that, fantastic career as a senator until he became president. And then suddenly we learn they couldn't do it. She's admitting this.
But he's still the greatest president of all time, apparently.
But you realize that her very campaign is an admission to their failures and their inability to make these troubles go away.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it if you elect me.
Right.
Well, if only we had a media that held them accountable. I mean, and again, I'm going to go back to something I did, which I very, very rarely do, is I took down a post on X about, I think it was a week ago, and I said, can you list, and people didn't get it, but I brought this up on your show the other day. I said, can you list the top 5 issues of both Kamala and Trump's campaigns? No, they're making it about personality. And everyone's like, bah, 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 we can tell you what Trump said. We can tell you. And I went, no. I said, can you list the top 5 of Trump's and Kamala's campaigns? Because normally you'd look and you'd say, well, this person wants this and this person wants that. And they're diametrically opposed for the most part, right? So what Kamala's doing is actually she's globbing on to what Trump has been said because she knows it's popular. Yeah. And she doesn't have anything. But that was my whole point. Like, list them. She's not going against it now. She's actually saying the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. But the point is, do you expect her to follow through and execute that? No. Do you know why? Because the Biden-Harris administration has already come out on record saying that they want to tax tips. Like that was one of their one of the things that they wanted to push for. And then Vice President Kamala Harris herself was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act in the Senate that allowed them to fund more IRS agents to crack down on not paying taxes on tips. So like she doesn't even, it's not even that she doesn't have a position, like her position has been clear. Her position is the opposite. And now she's like, well, if I could just say it to get me elected, maybe they'll believe me if I say it now. No, you have a history, you have a record that we can pull up. Nothing you say is genuine at all. And I mean, also you don't have two brain cells to rub together, but.
And she obviously in her list stated how tough on crime she was going to be. Right. But this is the same woman who raised money to release people that burned cities down in 2020.
Yeah, great point. Oh, yeah, that's really tough on crime, honey. Okay, all right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be back with more, but want to thank our sponsor, Qualia Senolytics. So I don't know if you've heard about Senolytics yet. It's a class of ingredients discovered less than 10 years ago, so fairly new, and they're being called the biggest discovery of our time for promoting healthy aging and enhancing your physical prime. I take this, and I am actually 93 years old. Don't I look good? I was waiting for someone to say,
yes.
What the hell? Don't I look good for 93?
You look really good, Sarah. Not quite as good as me.
So as we age, we have these senescent cells that accumulate in our body, and it causes, symptoms of aging, sluggish, middle-aged feeling, and they're known as zombie cells sometimes. So what this does is it removes those worn-out senescent cells to allow for the rest of your cells to thrive in your body, and you take it just 2 days a month, which is great for me because I don't remember to take a pill every day. But you take it 2 days a month, and it has a 100-day money-back guarantee. So make sure that you go check it out over at qualialife.com/Sarah, up to 50% off. Use code Sarah at checkout for an additional 15. That is, let me spell it for you. QUALIA life. If you don't know how to spell life, you're on your own. .com/Sarah, promo code Sarah. So the Trump campaign confirmed on Saturday that some of its internal communications were hacked, and Microsoft actually confirmed this as well over the weekend. Politico reached out to the campaign after it received, shocking that all this hacking material went to Politico, a left-leaning outlet. They reached out to the campaign after they received internal Trump documents dated back to February, including a 271-page dossier on J.D. Vance, who, of course, at the time was a potential running mate, turned into his eventual running mate. And Trump campaign communications director Stephen Chung said these documents were obtained illegally by foreign sources hostile to the United States, intended to interfere with the 2024 election and sow chaos throughout our democratic process. On Friday, a new report from Microsoft found that Iranian hackers broke into the account of a high-ranking official on the U.S. presidential campaign in June 2024. This coincides with the close timing of President Trump's selection of a vice presidential nominee. So Donald Trump is interviewing with Elon Musk tonight, right after this program ends. So make sure you go to X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and check it out. But what I would love to hear them discuss, Matt, is how to increase, maybe how to increase cybersecurity, but also the danger of deep fakes. Because I said this to my husband over the weekend. I was like, so now that everyone knows that these have been leaked, anyone could create a deep fake of any email. They could have Donald Trump using the N-word 1,000,000 times, like whatever. They could have the worst email created as a deep fake and release it, and nobody would believe you if you said we didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Because how could you prove that you didn't do it? You can't prove that, right? Like there's no way to prove that you guys didn't write that internal email that now shows that. So like it is really frustrating when you watch stuff like this happen. I would love to hear him address that.
Well, I mean, whatever happened to election interference? I mean,
right.
I thought it was the worst thing ever.
That's the biggest threat to democracy.
I mean, the whole thing is absurd. But look, I mean, I just think that even if someone came out with something now about Trump, that it would be, even if there wasn't a hack, they'd just say it and say it came out anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we're at. So I think actually he's got a little bit of armor as far as that's concerned, because they've lied about him so many times. I'll be just like, it's like when they call you a racist, you're like, oh God, just say it again. I just don't care.
Yeah, but the independents, though, is what I'm worried about. The people who are on the fence, the people who were like, okay, they just tried to assassinate him. I think he might be my guy. But Kamala isn't half dead like Biden, so maybe I could vote for her.
I don't think there are any independents out there yet anymore.
That's
I just don't.
A sad but probably true reality.
No, because either what you've got, I mean, when Kamala came out, she's obviously terrible. And this is what I keep saying about personality. They're not voting. They're like lemmings, because if you go and buy, get a gallon of gas right now or go and buy some eggs, this is reality. This isn't like something that you can, you're watching online. It's not affecting you.
Right.
It's affecting you every day. They knew what it was like before. They know what it's like now. And if that isn't going to change you, then no amount of porn star hush money, which whatever happened to that?
Right.
It's like, that's gone.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. People have made up their minds now, unless it's something giant. And as far as Kamala coming in, it's really just people that would like, just give me somebody.
Right.
Just don't let me go to the Elijah. And they're going that way anyway. It is what it is. I think that the lines have been drawn. We know what this is. When they tried to kill Trump, that's it. That to me was the moment where everyone was like, okay. And rolling out Kamala, who everybody hates, I don't think that's really going to change anything. I really don't. It might give people permission to go and just put the tick on the Democrat, but people have already made their decision, in my opinion.
Are you going to listen to the interview?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The return of Donald Trump to X. He's been posting on there I saw a couple posts this morning, but curiously, when I went to his actual profile page, the posts weren't showing up on his actual timeline.
Well, let me just tell the Donald Trump campaign something. You are being stupid not posting on X.
Yeah.
You are being absolutely stupid. It's an unforced error. I keep saying this. I don't know who's running the campaign. By the way, whoever's doing those ads where he is asking for money on YouTube, they're dreadful. If you look at the one that we showed earlier on with Kamala Harris, it was very slick, very well done. These like someone's got an iPhone and taken a picture of Trump like that, and he's really close. You guys know the ones I'm talking about, where he's on a plane. And listen, I want Trump to win. I do. I don't know what the campaign is doing. I really don't know what they're doing. It's like you're saying, they're out, Kamala's out spending him massively. Mm-hmm. Like what are you spending your money on? Like this is game day. Like what? We're not going to get a second chance.
Well, he's back on now. He's back on X now.
Is he posting?
And it is, and it is on the timeline, because I am scrolling 5 hours ago, 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago.
They should have done this like 2 months ago, Sarah. This should have been on.
No.
Like you can't, for whatever reason, like Elon is our closest ally as far as this.
I know. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Well, I have an idea. I think the Trump campaign should just hire you. Just
do it. Do it.
By the way, you just reminded me. I finally have my Trump Vance cutoff that Hulk Hogan wore in the mailbox. I can't wait to go home and get it.